Hey everybody, Ken here, and as promised, doing a European mount tutorial video. So, we're going to start with this buck here. This buck was actually shot by my buddy's son, his last year junior hunt. So, we're going to do our video today with this little guy. So the first thing we're going to do, get our gloves on here, and we're going to start by fleshing the skull. So I'm going to remove this tag. Now, while I'm doing this, before I started doing this actually, I got my water situated and started to boil it, so that way after this is fleshed I can just drop it in and start the boiling process. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to split them right down the skull, right down the front of the skull here through the nose. Then we're going to work our way back on either side to the back of the head. Now, once you have your skull fleshed, the next step before the boil is a really important step, is we want to tape around the base of the horns to ensure that it doesn't discolor them when it's in the boiling water. So we want to make sure that we get skin off closest around the base of the horn as we can. I didn't do a good job here, but all you do is just cut it a little closer. So once we do that, we'll tape the bottom of the horns, or the antlers I should say, with tape, and I like to use an electrical tape. It works pretty good. It adheres and holds up to the heat pretty well. But this is just going to make sure that we're not losing any of our color on the horns themselves, on the antlers themselves. So that's the next step. Just cut off a little bit of skin here. Okay. So you take your electrical tape and get it around the antlers. I usually go up maybe 2 or 3 inches, just like that. Right here. Like this. Okay, so now we're about ready for the boil. I'm going to turn the heat up a little bit. Get this baby cooking. When it comes to the boil itself, one thing that you want to watch out for is you don't overboil it. If you overboil the skull, it's going to start to split all around where the skull comes together. So you want to watch out for that. And you just want the water just to be over the crown of its head here just a little bit. So you don't want to fully submerge it into the tape anyways. That's just there as a protection precaution. So we're going to do that, and once it's in the boil, we're going to let it sit for probably, I don't know, I'll check it probably every half hour or so. It's going to take probably about an hour total, but every 20 minutes, half hour, I'm going to pull it out and check it just to make sure that I'm not overboiled. Okay, so we're back, and it's been in the boil for about 45 minutes, maybe almost an hour now, and you can see the meat starting to get cooked, and the skin is starting to separate from the bone here a little bit. That's kind of where you want to start at when you pull it out of the boil. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut as much of the meat off as I can, kind of get all the big chunks off of it. I'm going to take the bottom jaw off here, and then we'll go back into the boil to try to get some of the membrane that's under where I'm cutting off loosened up. So bottom jaw will pull right off the tongue. Watch it, because it's really hot. So there's the bottom jaw. And then you got all this meat back here you're going to want to get off. It's going to make the process go faster. Getting that, soon get that off there. Shut up! Rip all this crap off. Throw it near your bucket. That. There's like a skin here on the bottom roof of his mouth here you gotta get off. One thing I will tell you right now, okay, is be very careful with this nose, because there's a small bone that runs up. I'll show you. Shut up! Small bone, it cracks really easy. It runs up through the nose right here like this. And the side pieces here, you gotta be gentle with those too, because those can break off sometimes. If it does break off on you, I've had it happen before on me, what you do is set it to the side until you're done cleaning it up. And then you can take a little bit of super glue when everything's done, and you can glue it back on. It does work, but you do want to be careful when you're messing around down there. So I'm not even use a knife. I'm gonna try to peel some of this back hand. Stinks too. The dog's going crazy. It's barking at somebody. Get all this crap off of here. Ugh, you gotta watch that. The eyeballs like to explode. Get it in your face. Just a second, I'm gonna go get my dog. Hey, get over here. So, yeah, your eyeballs like to explode on you sometimes, so just make sure that you don't get that in your face. That would really suck. It's happened to me before. And try to get some of this crap off here. Try not to scratch the bone when you're getting this crap off. Don't worry too much about this stuff. That's going to come off later in the next step. We'll go over. I just really want to worry about this thick meat. That's what we're working at here. Right there. Around right here. This is the biggest thing when you first. One of the biggest things when you pull them out of your first boil cycle, you do want to try to get the whole meat and eyeballs through. I try to cut around the inside of the eyeball socket like this. Just kind of go around the inside. Because this will make it so much easier when it goes back in the boil to loosen it up. Cut around the eyeball socket and I kind of push it through like that. Try to grab some of it and pull it out. It's just going to allow the boiling water to get into the skull and around into the brain a little bit. Really down to some of the tougher parts of the head here. So I'm just kind of carve it out and push some of it through. Right. I'm blowing my phone up. God, that's it. Some of that through there. Okey-dokey. This can be really nasty, but it's just something you got to do. They look pretty nice when they're done. So. My wife will want me to keep them in the house, so I'm adding them up out in my barn. Come along pretty nice. Got a few. Oh, there we go. There's the eyeball. Buckeye. Everybody's favorite treat during Christmas time. Got that eye socket pushed through and out. We've got some of this meat in the back here still, but that'll come off. I'm gonna work on the other side now. Watch it doesn't explode on you. Look away. Just get that. There it goes. Get that bugger through there. This is probably the longest process of the whole thing. It's getting the meat off the bone. You have to get every
little piece of it. In order for this to be good, you can't have any crap laying around on it. Okay, so got quite a bit of it off here. I'm going to drop it back in the boil, and next time when I pull it out of the boil, I'm probably going to fire up the power washer, and that's going to take a lot of your tight membrane off of it. So, but really, if you don't have one, you're going to want to get one for doing this. I don't have one. I'm borrowing one. But if you attempt to do it without one, it is possible. It's just going to take a long time because some of the meat and gristle and stuff that gets into the crevices of the skull right here is just unreal. I mean, you really need to fine pick to get some of it, but with the power washer, it can really speed up the process and make life a lot easier. So that's something I'm going to invest in myself. There you go. So that's looking pretty good. Got a lot of that off there. There's still some meat on here, but I'm not going to worry too much about that. Kind of want to stick my knife in where the brain's at, just to loosen it up. Those are your brains right there, and so that way the water can get in there and work its way around. All right, drop it back in the boil. Crank it up a little bit. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. All right. Let me turn the camera around here so y'all can see what we're dealing with over here. Okay. Oh yeah, so there we go. I got the water. I turned the heat down so I'm not quite on a boil right now, but I got just over the crest of its head right there. And turn this bad boy up a little bit. Get that water going. So I'm going to leave it in the boil then for probably another 20 minutes, half hour. And then get the power washer fired up, and we'll see how much of that gristle and meat we can get off the bone. All right.